My name is Carissa, you're in my bathroom cabinet, and I have narcolepsy. First of all, I've been diagnosed with narcolepsy for a little bit over a year since December 2018. I've been sort of properly medicated since February 2019. So first of all, why am I making this video? I'm making this video because as soon as I was diagnosed, I wanted to go to YouTube and find videos of like actual people talking about actual things. But the only thing I found were very sad documentaries that were, valid. But of course, they're going to, documentaries are going to cast the worst case scenario. And also, there weren't a lot of documentaries. I found a couple of videos of just people talking about it, but there weren't a lot. So, I want to, first of all, help awareness, because why not? And second of all, maybe I can be that person for you if you're watching this with narcolepsy or a loved one with narcolepsy. I'm here to tell you, Barack Obama voice, hello. I'm here to tell you, people have narcolepsy and not just dogs. So I'm going to tell you now, I don't know the statistics very well, but don't at me. Feel free to do your own research. But since the diagnosis, I have done a lot of research to understand and manage my disorder to my best ability. So I'm going to tell you what I know, and then you can get what I know and learn more, and you'll know what you know and what I know. Narcolepsy is a very rare sleeping disorder and autoimmune disease. Doesn't that mean that your body destroys something you need to function properly? Yes, it does. What am I missing? Hypocretin. I could be saying that wrong, but this is how you spell it. Here's the definition. So basically what hypocretin does, it controls your sleep-wake cycle. And also, it controls, like hunger and thirst, and has some certain connections to the metabolism. It's like your REM sleep, which is like the sleep where you dream, is always wonky and funky. So like a person with narcolepsy can, it looks like they're sleeping getting more sleep than a regular person, but it's not good sleep. And even so, a lot of people with narcolepsy do experience insomnia. So that's very whack. It's just like basically your sleep-wake cycle is wonky, so you're not sleeping when you should be. And chemicals in your brain are making you not sleep well when you're trying to sleep, and making you sleep when you should not be sleeping. I saw a study, don't at me, something like this, that a normal person with narcolepsy getting the proper amount of sleep is the equivalent to pulling in 3 all-nighters, at least the feeling equivalent. Because when you sleep, it's not good sleep. Get it? Say it with me. Say it again, kids. When I sleep, it's not good sleep. Alright. Okay. Now that we've gotten that very confusing general term out of the window, my window's right there. Let's talk about how it affects me, because that's the best that I can explain, because it's my life. So, for me, it has affected me by, I fall asleep a lot. I am always tired. I also experience cataplexy. Ooh. Here is the definition. It is a symptom that sometimes goes along with narcolepsy. Narcolepsy, the experiences of narcolepsy is such a huge spectrum. Some people feel this, some people feel that. I experience cataplexy. What is cataplexy, or caterpillars, as my sister and mother and I like to call it, because why not? It makes it funner. It's basically, that chemical in your brain. Disclaimer, I'm explaining everything to my best ability, so I could totally be wrong. At me if you will. But, to my understanding, that chemical in your brain that stops you from sleepwalking? Yeah, it's kind of like, now. So you're paralyzed. Randomly, for some minutes. Usually it's like a couple of seconds to 10 minutes. For some people it's like, oh, I'm down, I can't move ever. For me, and I know a lot of other people, it's like just feeling weak. Like I couldn't, I remember the first time I actually remember experiencing cataplexy. I woke up, I think, yeah, I was like 12. I woke up from sleep paralysis, and I tried to lift my pillow and I couldn't lift my pillow, but like I was still moving my arm. It just took a lot more work to do the things. Yeah. So like, you know, you lift up a phone, you put in this much effort, but then you're like, oh, I'm having cataplexy, now I'm putting in this much effort. At least that's how it feels for moi. A lot of times, I know one time my school has a lot of stairs, so one time I was like going up the stairs, and then my legs gave out for a split second. No, my entire body gave out for a hot minute. But I was able to just focus all of my energy and all of my strength just in my arm to grab that pole and so I did not die. I did not die. That was great. Very cash money. Why does cataplexy happen? What are their triggers? Usually it's strong emotions. So that's very tragic. You know, you laugh, you may be down. You cry, you may be down. You're happy, you may fall down. It's not fun. All right, other symptoms. Let's talk about sleep paralysis. What is sleep paralysis? A lot of people experience sleep paralysis who actually don't have narcolepsy, but it's incredibly common for people with narcolepsy. Ooh-hoo-hoo. I once had sleep paralysis 7 times in a night. Yes, that's right, folks. You heard right. 7 times in a night. It was absolute garbaggio. It's basically when you're going between falling asleep and waking up, or waking up and falling asleep, when that chemical in your body that stops you from sleepwalking hasn't completely worn off, but you're kind of aware that you're awake, but you're also kind of asleep. So some crazy things might be happening around you and you cannot move. Yes, paralysis. I hate it. Ooh. Yeah, it's basically that. It usually doesn't last for too long, but it's a quite terrifying thing when you don't know what's happening. And then if you have spooky hallucinations, that's also not very fun. My hallucinations during sleep paralysis are always just like someone's touching me. It's like, can you get your hands off me, sleep paralysis demon, please? I usually always sleep with a blanket over my covers. I usually always sleep with a blanket over my head, so I never see anything, thank God. But I always feel that something's rubbing up on my side. I promise you, I don't have a creeper in my home because this happened when I was home alone before. If that's the case, what? You know? I know at one point I felt like a bunch of hands, like one hand was just pressing on me, just putting all their weight like on the side of me, because I fall asleep on my side a lot. And then I felt just like a bajillion hands press on me, and I felt like I was phasing through the mattress and I could not breathe. It's terrifying sometimes, but you know, once you know what's happening. Why did I slip into a horrible British accent? That is not very cash money. Okay, so my point is, with sleep paralysis, once you know what's happening, it's kind of like, oh, this again, oh God. But yep, that's that. That's me explaining it to my best ability. Feel free to look anything up, because this is just based on my research and my experiences. All right, let's talk about general hallucinations. But hallucinations during the day, it's basically like, you know, since the chemicals in your brain that should be regulating your REM sleep, which is when you dream, are all wonky. They're getting crazy with the cheese whiz. They're going in and out, whether you're awake or not. Sometimes, you know, you'll see some things. Also, a lot of people who have sleep deprivation start hallucinating. So that's a thing, because I always feel like I'm a little sleep deprived and in hallucinations. So that's fun. I've been lucky enough to not really experience a lot of hallucinations that are very disruptive to my well-being, but at the same time I saw a couple of studies where it was like people this is very rare to happen because once again narcolepsy is very rare, but sometimes people are misdiagnosed with schizophrenia when really they have narcolepsy and really intense horrible hallucinations during the day. And the biggest trouble with that is because there's not enough awareness and a lot of people just don't know to think about it. So like the treatment for people who just have hallucinations that aren't because of a sleep disorder, it's a medication that I can't remember, but the side effect is making you sleepy. And what you're sleep deprived, so you're hallucinating, but then you're on a thing that's supposed to make you stop hallucinating, but because you don't really have schizophrenia or psychosis, something else creating why did it leave my brain? Okay, since you don't have the other things that are causing hallucinations, then when it makes you more tired, you get more hallucinations. And then doctors may be like, oh my God, they just have a really strong case. And then they up it up, and then you're in a trap because stimulants, which is how most people treat narcolepsy, is the way sometimes has the side effects of hallucinations. So if doctors don't realize that you're hallucinating because you're always tired, then you can get stuck in that weird tunnel. Now the study that I saw, it was actually a video on YouTube. If I can find it, I will link it. If not, you could probably find it. I'll try to link it. The dude that I was watching, he was like, now don't be like, oh, you have schizophrenia, you probably have narcolepsy. No, but like if someone has tried the medications for hallucinations and they are either getting worse or not getting better, then they definitely should take a sleep study to make sure that they're not just intensifying this thing that's underdiagnosed. Let's go to my least favorite. And I say my least favorite because I think it's the one that really affects me the most. So like out of my symptoms, it's my least favorite because it's like the most intense. Brain fog. Let's put the definition right there. Shoot, let's just do it to it. So brain fog. I'll explain it to my best ability based on my own experiences because that's all this video is. Brain fog. A lot of people experience brain fog. It's kind of a normal thing. But for me, my brain fog is intense and aggressive and constant. I know a lot of people with narcolepsy have constant brain fog. What is it? It's like your cognitive ability is just like kaput. In 8th grade, when I didn't have the best sleep schedule, but I was also very undiagnosed with narcolepsy, people just thought I was high all the time, which was so sad. My reflexes are so slow. It's kind of like you're drunk, but it's not fun. It don't feel good. Your brain don't work. Your brain's stupid. Or at least for me, and I know a lot of people, it's like your brain isn't working to its fullest capacity most of the time. It's so sad. I don't know. I feel like that is one of the things that's the most upsetting to me. Because, like, I don't want to drive ever. A lot of people with narcolepsy choose to drive and can drive. A lot of people can't. But personally, even though I happen to not have intense sleep attacks, which is when you fall asleep involuntarily, because your body's like, yo, I'm going down, and you're like, oh, here we go again. I do have sleep attacks, but when they come about, I know when they're coming. So if I were driving, I'd be like, oh, time to pull over. Where's the nearest exit? Come on. But I know the reason I shouldn't be driving, at least right now, is because my reflexes are super slow. I can't focus on everything. Everything's super overwhelming. I don't know if I have a sensory disorder, disclaimer, but I do know I do have issues, sensory issues to some extent at times. So I was like, why is this happening? But a lot of people, if you don't get enough sleep, you can have a sensory overload. And sensory overload isn't the condition. People with sensory problems do have sensory overload, but sensory overload is much like a panic attack. You can have a panic attack without having panic disorder. So I definitely have experienced, to some extent, sensory overload frequently. And I'm pretty sure that's because I'm always tired. And everything's overwhelming when you can't focus on anything. Like someone like tried to punch me, and it took me like legitimately a good seconds to even try to react. So I'm like, well, I'm not gonna drive because this is how narcolepsy shows up in me, and that's endangering more than just my life. I couldn't handle it. So until my brain fog consistently gets better, we gonna be a bus queen, hey? Or if I get enough money for a self-driving car. Vroom, vroom. Okay, what other symptoms can we talk about that I can talk about pretty well from my own experience? Let's talk about sleep attacks. That's pretty on the nose. It's just when your brain goes, I'm gonna head out. Your consciousness goes, I'm gonna head out. And then you're like, wait, I'm at work. And then you have no choice. You're sleeping, or at least from my perspective, I'm like, oh, I'm too sleepy to, if I'm moving, I can keep myself from falling asleep. But if I'm somewhere where I need to sit down and be still and be quiet, and I have to, and I have no, like, I'll feel it and be like, man, I'm really tired. I need to do something. But say you're in class or church, and then you just try to stick it out, and then you wake up and you're like, oh, I guess I fell asleep again. Oh no. And then yeah, that's basically sleep attacks to the best I can explain it. So then we're going to talk about micro sleeps. What is that? It's basically when your consciousness is just snapping in and out of existence, baby. I like to explain it, at least from my perspective, I like to explain it like you got a flip book. You know when you have a flip book, or like the little Mickey Mouse or whatever the heck, or animation with not a lot of frames. It's very choppy. Because you're like, oh, I'm missing a frame to the story, but I still understand what's happening. Or imagine you're walking, but you're just blinking a bunch. Like, watch this video right now and blink like that. Like the amount you're blinking. Personally, that's how I felt my micro sleeps happening when I really needed to do something about how sleepy I was, but I wasn't at a point where I could. So those are the biggest symptoms that I can remember, and also that I know of and can speak of better than Google. So let's talk about why it's so important to know that narcolepsy exists, and why is it so important to talk about narcolepsy? Let's talk about it. I don't know all of the statistics, but let's put it on the screen. These many people in the world are thought to have narcolepsy, but only these many people are actually diagnosed with narcolepsy. Narcolepsy usually develops during your early teens. When they are diagnosed, it's usually around their late 20s, right? But you see, if it develops, say 8th grade, and then you go to high school, and then you go to college, and then you're starting a job, and you're 25, you just got out of college or whatever. I don't know what time or age is, but say you just got out of college, you're starting a job, and you finally get diagnosed with something. Or you get out of high school and your grades aren't the best, so you can't go to the college that you wanted to, and your life could have been a lot different if you were given these accommodations that can make or break your grade, all because, you don't have them, You fall asleep. I took aquatic science last year, and my teacher was like, watch these videos if you fall asleep or if you don't pay attention, so I couldn't sketch, even though I do that to stay awake. You're getting an automatic 0. So I kept getting zeros on the easiest blow off class ever because I could not stay awake. And it wasn't until I actually started to get diagnosed and I was in the process and I filled out the paperwork and the questionnaire, and then they gave me a little living with narcolepsy thingy pamphlet. That's when I went to my astronomy teacher. I was like, yo, I think I have narcolepsy, and then that's why I keep falling asleep. Can I fix my grades, sir? And at first he started laughing, like, really? This is like the you going bring out a rare disease / disability / sleep disorder to make me fix your grade? And then I was like, this is the pamphlet the doctors gave me. I am in the process of being diagnosed. And then he was like, oh, okay. So I can't even imagine, well, I can imagine how hard I'm a senior right now and I'm about to go to college, but just imagining how hard it would be to deal with college courses with teachers that they might not care, you know, and you're paying for that, so it's more like the stakes are high, man. I might be a vegetarian, but the stakes are high. So like having where the assignments are weighted higher, and it's just so horrible thinking that and knowing that so many people are losing opportunities in their lives because they're not given the right accommodations, because not enough people know about narcolepsy, you know? Like, a lot of doctors just don't think of it because it's so rare. But there's so many people out there who are just walking around being undiagnosed for a big chunk of their lives, and it's really affecting them, and that's not very cash money. I fell asleep during every single standardized testing I took except for one, and that was because I kept standing up to tap dance, drank water, and brought an energy drink and coffee. That was whack. And then on top of that, sure, you stay awake, but can you focus? Because brain fog, I surely couldn't for a long point of time. So that's why it's super important to talk about narcolepsy. This one's for all y'all out there who are struggling, being undiagnosed, and also y'all who just got diagnosed and are a little spooked about what to do. Lastly, I'm going to talk about my little tips that I use. First of all, narcolepsy is such a huge thing. There's not a lot of funding for it. At least not enough for the amount that it actually affects people's lives. So, research to your best ability, and don't just say narcolepsy, sleep deprivation, and don't be afraid to look at studies. You know, in the beginning I was like, I'm tired, I don't want to read this is just too long. But now I'm like, you know what? I learned a few more things. You know, sometimes they're just reiterating what you know in a very scientific way. But then I guarantee you, there are a few things in that study that you didn't realize and that you can employ in your life and see if it helps. And if it does, oh my God, amazing. Specifically, something I heard from a video on the Narcolepsy Network. This lady, she mentioned that there was a study on rats with low to no hypocretin, and they saw that those rats both ate less and drunk less, but weighed less. So we were remembering that hypocretin also deals somewhat with your appetite, and it deals with thirst, and it deals with so many things. And I'm like, oh my God, that's why I just forget to drink water all the time. I'm like the most dehydrated person ever. Like, I be forgetting, yo. Like, I work outside. That's the only reason I remember when I'm this close to heat stroke. Okay? But I work on Saturday. So during the weekdays, I just, what is water? I like tea. I'm going to drink black tea. But that's dehydrating. So that made me think, oh my God, this is more. You know, we already know that drinking something, especially water, can raise your energy levels. So then the fact that I am more predisposed to be more dehydrated because I just don't think to drink water because I felt that was true to me. I'm even more up and up on my water, baby, and I feel a little bit better, honey. Yeah. I think definitely a lot of these studies, so you might be like, I don't know what she's talking about. I have narcolepsy and I drink a lot of water and I'm always thirsty. We stay thirsty in this. And that's cool. That was just a study and a theory, and like it wasn't completely, it was only tested on rats and not people. But since I was like, oh, I can that, and it's just drinking more water, which I need to do anyways, I decided to do my best to integrate that into the rest of my life. So that's the way I do research. So what are my last tips? Even though having a genuine sleep schedule is really hard when you have narcolepsy, and if you're like me and you tend to be more energized in the evening, understand that also you're very likely to experience insomnia or some form of insomnia to a degree. So be careful, even if you're like, I want to listen to my body, I want to stay awake. Please, like, don't give into that. It sounds like I'm mocking theoretically you. I'm not mocking you. You could be like not as stupid as I was. I'm mocking me from the past because I was like, yo, I just want to be nocturnal because I feel good right now, but that made me feel worse later. And you know what? The universe isn't nocturnal. What? Yes, it is. Okay, the Earth's population isn't nocturnal. So I'm missing so much. I'm making my life harder, even if I do feel more energized in the evening. And I know for a lot of people, it's easier said than done than just go to sleep. You know, you have a sleeping disease, but a lot of people wake up and sleep in increments and they can't stay asleep. Or a lot of people or just having a bad time. No matter what, it's just really hard. I know everything's easier said than done for most people, and I completely understand that. But just do your best to sleep at a good time consistently around. And also, a lot of people say schedule naps or key. Personally, I am currently on a mild stimulant to stay awake. It's for 12 hours. So after I take it, sometimes I take a quick nap and then for like 15 minutes and I wake up and I'm like, oh, there's that energy. Really, the thing is just knowing your body, knowing when you should and should not be out on your own. Because it's a very vulnerable state. Having, like, my cataplexy personally gets worse the more sleep deprived I am. And no matter if it's a sleep attack or a cataplexy attack or just really slow reflexes, even more than before, it's just a really vulnerable state. And speaking from a woman's point of view, I'm a medium woman. That is small, medium, medium. I'm a medium woman. I am between 5'5" and 5'4", and I always kind of have my guard up when I'm on my own. And like I said, I take the city bus. So I'm always making judgment calls on myself. Should I or should I not go out today? Should I take a lift instead of the bus? Because I can have my guard up in a car that's a 20-minute drive, but not on a 2-hour bus ride, you know? You just got to really gauge in with your body and make accommodations for yourself, as well as advocating for yourself. Wow. I personally don't do enough advocating for myself, and that's what I'm working on. I'm gonna get better at it. And you should too, because there's always room for improvement. Heck yeah. Yeah, that's narcolepsy. That's my thesis. If I said something that isn't completely right, feel free to correct me in the comments. I am always open for constructive criticism. If you have narcolepsy, comment. If you've seen a dog with narcolepsy, also comment. If you know someone with narcolepsy, also comment. I just want to know. Will anyone ever watch this video? I don't know. And the amount of times that I look up narcolepsy to see if there's a hot new study out there that will help, why not be one of those people there spreading my love? Thanks so much for watching. Please stay woke. I get it, okay, bye. That was fun.